Hey guys, my name is Steph. I'm one of the pastors at Blackhawk. I'm actually over the elementary age kids. If you guys have a younger brother or sister, they're stuck with me, which is kind of too bad because I'm just not very cool. John's a lot cooler than I am. You guys are pretty lucky to have John. But anyway, you get to hear from me tonight, and we're actually coming to you from my movie room. I have a room at our house that we've got a projector where we can watch movies on the wall, and it's a pretty cool space. I love to be in here because I love to watch movies. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think movies are awesome, especially ones that are just a really good story. I love to be engrossed in the movie, and if you're the type of person who talks during movies, you are not invited to my house to watch with me because I am all in. I want to just be focused watching that movie. Now, movie trailers, on the other hand, I have mixed feelings about. I love watching them on the one hand because I love to see what's coming in movies and what I might want to watch again when it comes out. On the other hand, it drives me crazy when a movie trailer doesn't match the movie it's supposed to represent. Has it ever happened to you guys where you watch a movie trailer and you think, wow, that movie looks so cool, and you see it and you find out that all the good parts were already in the trailer and the movie's kind of lame? I hate it when that happens. And sometimes it even happens the other way around, where there's a really good movie that has a really bad trailer that somehow makes the movie look like it's going to be dumb. Well, I came across an example of that recently. I was on YouTube and I found the trailer for the original Star Wars movie. You can see it on the screen behind me. I actually own it. And I think this is a great movie, but somehow the movie trailer just falls short. Why don't you take a look and see what you think?
Somewhere in space, this may all be happening right now. 20th Century Fox and George Lucas, the man who brought you American Graffiti, now bring you an adventure unlike anything on your planet. Star Wars.
Here they come! You're too fast!
The story of a boy, a girl, and a universe. It's a big, sprawling space saga of rebellion and romance. It's a spectacle, light years ahead of its time.
I am C-3PO, human cyborg relations, and this is my counterpart, R2-D2. Hello.
It's an epic of heroes.
Good luck!
And villains. And aliens from 1,000 worlds. Years in the making. Star Wars.
Now, I don't know what you guys thought of that trailer, but I thought it did a terrible job of representing Star Wars. To me, I think Star Wars is a great movie. Here's why I think that trailer was not a very good trailer. First of all, because of what I heard. Now, if someone were to ask me to tell them what Star Wars was about, I would describe it as an epic battle between good and evil, or a story about an everyday guy who discovers it's his destiny to save the world. I would not describe it as the story of a boy, a girl in the universe. Second, I thought it was terrible because of what I saw. I think the special effects might be kind of old in the original Star Wars, but there's still some pretty cool scenes of lightsaber duels and gunfights from starships, and those are just really underrepresented in this trailer. Third, and I think this is the biggest reason, is because of how the trailer makes me feel. To me, one of the things I love about Star Wars is the music. When you hear dun 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 dun, you know Darth Vader's coming into the room, and it makes you feel something. You're like, oh, this scene's gonna be awesome. Did you notice the music from the movie wasn't even in that trailer? It just didn't really make you feel anything. Well, tonight we're talking about 2 Corinthians 5. And in 2 Corinthians 5, Paul tells us that we are Christ's ambassadors, which is, I think of as being his representatives. And it made me think of this idea of a movie trailer and how a movie trailer is meant to represent a story. And Paul is telling us in 2 Corinthians that our lives are meant to represent the story of the gospel. So tonight I want to ask, how are we doing with that? I think the first thing to investigate is, do we even know the story of the gospel very well ourselves? So let me do a quick summary of what I think of when I think of the gospel message. There's a God who's filled with love. He's so filled with love that he creates a world and creatures to share that love with. And he's so committed to love being authentic that he has the courage to create creatures who can choose to not love him in return. And that's what those creatures do. They choose to go away from God, and as a result, the world just becomes a mess really quickly. But God rescues that world over and over and over again. He is not content to let evil win, until one day he sends the ultimate rescuer, his son, Jesus. And he sends Jesus knowing that Jesus would have to die, knowing that the penalty, the payment required for that debt of sin was death. But Jesus goes anyway, and he dies for us. And then he rises from the dead. He's victorious over death, and he promises us, if we believe in him, that there is a life that we can have that is filled with meaning, filled with hope, that there's a new future coming, a new world that's a redeemed world, that we have a relationship with God that can be restored again. That's the gospel message. In 2 Corinthians 5, Paul kind of summarizes that gospel message again, and he tells us that just as Christ died and rose, when we believe in Christ, we are a new creation. Our lives are meant to be different, and we are meant to share that message with the world. Now, one thing that means to represent the gospel is to share it, like I just did, tell people about it. But it means a lot more than that. You know, going back to the movie trailer, I thought that the movie trailer felt short because of how, what I saw, what I heard, and what I felt when I was watching the movie trailer. So when we think about representing Jesus and representing the gospel, I want to ask, how do people feel when they're around us? What do they see? What do they hear? What do they feel? And how is that representing the gospel? You know, when we're talking to our friends, are we talking about people in a way that shows how God values everyone and loves everyone? Or are we representing a God that might love some people more than other people? In the way that we are with people, do we show a God who gives generously, who forgives easily, who cares about others? These are the questions I think we should ask when we think about whether or not we are representing Jesus in the world. How do we make people feel when they're around us? What do they see? What do they hear? You know, when I was in high school, I worked at McDonald's, and I hated it when I worked on Wednesday nights, because on Wednesday nights there was a particular group that always came in that tended to order just like a couple sodas to share with each other, and then bug me all night for refills. They were loud and rowdy, and I often had to go ask them to quiet down because they were bugging other customers. And then they usually left a really big mess for me to clean up. And in general, they treated me like I was a dork and they were the cool kids. That group was a youth group from a local church. They were Christ followers, I was not. How were they doing at representing the gospel to me? I can tell you that I had no desire to ever go to their church. So now it's time to ask that question of ourselves. This is a hard question. This is what Paul is asking us to think about with 2 Corinthians 5. How are we doing at representing Jesus to the world? And here's the way I want to ask the question that's pretty hard-hitting and a good one to evaluate. If the only thing people knew about Jesus was what they saw represented in you, what would they think Jesus was like?